Alice captured viewers' hearts with its warm story of friendship and life in a roadside diner, but behind those on-screen smiles were the real-life tragedies of its talented cast. Some took their own lives while still young, others faced accidents on set. Let's explore the truth and honor the legacies they left behind. Let's go. Linda Lavin as Alice Hyatt. Linda Lavin was born on October 15, 1937, in Portland, Maine. She was 39 years old when she took on the role of Alice Hyatt, a strong and warm-hearted single waitress in the sitcom Alice, 1976 to 1985, a role that made her a beloved figure across America. Through her on-screen image, Lavin successfully portrayed a woman who fought for her own happiness, yet in real life she faced many storms. Beyond the spotlight of Alice, Linda Lavin went through 3 painful marriages. Her first love with actor Ron Leibman lasted more than a decade, but ended in a tearful divorce in 1981, leaving a deep wound in her heart. Soon after, her second marriage to Kip Nan, a co-star on Alice, seemed like a new haven, but also collapsed in 1992, accompanied by rumors of infidelity, controlling behavior, and fierce arguments. The prolonged tension made Linda quick-tempered, leading to intense conflicts on set, which caused several co-stars like Polly Holliday and Diane Ladd to leave the show because they could not bear the pressure from her. Although her harsh personality and repeated anger alienated her from others, Linda Lavin continued to captivate audiences on Broadway, especially with her role as a strong-willed mother in Broadway Bound, 1987. Yet tragedy did not spare her, as in 1993 a former housekeeper sued her for allegedly cruel emotional behavior, further pulling Lavin into scandal. In her later years, even after being diagnosed with late-stage lung cancer, she threw herself into work to the point of exhaustion, appearing in Being the Ricardos, 2021, and continuing to accept new roles, as if trying to fill the emptiness left by broken marriages. On December 29, 2024, Linda Lavin took her last breath in Los Angeles at the age of 87 from cardiopulmonary arrest following cancer complications. She left behind an estimated net worth of $10 million USD, mostly accumulated from 6 decades in the industry along with the Linda Lavin Arts Foundation. Vic Tayback as Mel Sharples. Victor Tayback was born on January 6, 1930 in Brooklyn, New York. He was 46 when he played Mel Sharples, the gruff but good-hearted diner owner in the sitcom Alice, 1976 to 1985, a role that earned him 2 consecutive Golden Globe Awards and a prestigious Emmy nomination. Mel's image was tied to laughter and funny lines, but behind the scenes, Tayback was a man full of contradictions and pain. His career once soared thanks to recurring appearances on The Love Boat, 1977 to 1987, and films like Papillon, 1973, but Victor Tayback was also known for his hot temper, frequent outbursts, and constant suspicion of scripts being altered against his wishes. Many younger colleagues described his harsh scoldings on set, creating a tense and suffocating work atmosphere. Even at the peak of Alice, there were rumors that Tayback had a secret affair with a production assistant, leading to a fiery argument with his wife, Sheila Barnard, which strained their marriage and left him torn between fame and his roles as a husband and father. Though he never got caught in criminal scandals, Victor's deep distrust of Hollywood's fakeness caused him to lose out on some big roles he had longed for. Tayback himself had to battle high blood pressure and a weak heart, but ignored his doctor's warnings, continuing to smoke and work under high pressure. His son later revealed that Victor was a distant father, always putting the stage and cameras above his family, leaving his children and wife with many regrets. In the early morning of May 25, 1990, Victor Tayback died from a sudden heart attack at age 60, right at Glendale Adventist Medical Center after collapsing in his bedroom. His net worth was estimated around $2 million USD, mostly earned from the success of Alice and countless supporting roles. Beth Howland as Vera Louise Gorman. Beth Howland, born on May 28, 1941 in Brighton, Massachusetts, left an unforgettable mark at the age of 35 when she portrayed Vera Gorman, the clumsy yet endearing waitress in the sitcom Alice, 1976-1985, winning over audiences with her innocent and witty charm. Before that, Howland had stood out on the Broadway stage as Amy in Company, 1970, proving her remarkable talent and versatility. But behind that bright appearance, Beth Howland's life was filled with hidden sorrows and deep struggles. From her teenage years, Beth had a rebellious spirit, running away with friends to New York and immersing herself in the pressures of a dancer's life, which led to a long battle with an eating disorder that she kept secret for many years. A failed engagement to a famous musician, once heavily covered by the press, left her heartbroken and robbed her of faith in love. Later, her marriage to Charles Kimbrough seemed fulfilling, but was often marked by separation due to work and long periods apart, making loneliness a constant shadow in Howland's life. She also grappled with chronic anxiety, a silent burden that stayed with her until the end of her days. After the success of Alice, Beth Howland largely withdrew from the spotlight, only occasionally taking small roles in Murder, She Wrote or Sabrina the Teenage Witch, which fueled public speculation about her private life. When diagnosed with lung cancer, Howland firmly refused treatment because she did not want to expose her illness to the public, a decision that caused her condition to deteriorate rapidly. Family members revealed that she harbored a deep fear of pity and a profound distrust of the fame that had clung to her throughout her career. On December 31, 2015, Beth Howland passed away at the age of 74, leaving behind a net worth of about $3 million from her dedicated years in Broadway and television. She requested that news of her death be kept private for months, as a final way to protect her privacy, closing a journey that was both brilliant and deeply scarred. Philip McKon as Tommy Hyatt. Philip McKon, born on November 11, 1964 in Westbury, New York, was just 12 years old when he took on the role of Tommy Hyatt, the sweet and loving son of Alice in Alice, 1976 to 1985, a role that became tied to the childhood memories of countless viewers. McKon quickly became a teen idol, drawing much attention and high expectations, but that very spotlight sowed the seeds of future heartache. From a young age, Philip had to shoulder much of his family's financial burden and endure his mother's strict control, suffocating his childhood. A grueling filming schedule left him with no chance to enjoy a normal youth, while unconfirmed rumors of inappropriate behavior by a crew member left deep emotional wounds. After Alice ended, Philip struggled to break free from his child star image, leading to depression, loss of direction, and at times turning to substances as a way to soothe his pain. As he reached adulthood, McKon tried to rebuild by venturing into film production with Teresa's Tattoo, 1994, and The Young Unknowns, 2000, then transitioning to radio broadcasting in Texas. Yet he could never shake off the loneliness and haunting memories of former fame. Though outwardly calm, inside Philip carried a heart full of scars, living a quiet, guarded life. As his sister Nancy McKon once bitterly said, "Hollywood crushed my brother." On December 10, 2019, Philip McKon passed away quietly at the age of 55 after a long struggle with an undisclosed illness, closing a life marked by turmoil and solitude. He left behind a net worth of about $1.5 million, mostly from his years in film and radio, but that value could never compensate for the lost childhood and the loneliness he carried to the end of his life. Marvin Kaplan as Henry Biesmeyer. Marvin Kaplan was born on January 24, 1927, in Brooklyn, New York. He joined Alice at the age of 51, portraying Henry Biesmeyer, a gentle, humorous, and somewhat eccentric telephone repairman who often stopped by Mel's Diner, bringing a charming wit to audiences throughout 8 broadcast seasons. This character helped Kaplan establish his acting talent in the public's eyes, yet in real life, he had to endure years of incredible hardship and bitterness. As early as the 1960s, Marvin struggled with feelings of inferiority because he was continually typecast in supporting roles, which made him insecure and led him to turn to prescription drugs to ease the pressure. During a drunken episode, he once publicly criticized a famous producer, and as a result, many studios removed him from their casting lists, destroying his hopes of rising to star status. His only marriage, to Rosa Felsenberg, also fell apart quickly, as his perfectionist nature and emotional instability made the relationship stifling. Kaplan himself was rumored to have complicated relationships with younger boyfriends, but most of these ended in arguments and restraining orders, leaving ever-deepening scars of loneliness in his soul. Nevertheless, Kaplan continued to dedicate himself through voice acting in Top Cat, Garfield and Friends, and The Garfield Show, 2011, along with supporting film roles such as in The Great Race, 1965, and Freaky Friday, 1976, in order to preserve his professional honor. He also tirelessly worked in theater, yet often hurt colleagues with harsh remarks, causing many people to avoid him. The cheerful shadow of Henry on screen was in stark contrast to a real-life personality full of contradictions, haunted by insecurity and a longing for recognition. His life gradually became more withdrawn, quiet, and somber in his later years. On August 25, 2016, Marvin Kaplan passed away in his sleep at the age of 89 from natural causes, ending an artistic journey filled with great passion but also much pain. He left behind an estimated net worth of about $1 million USD, mostly from supporting roles and voiceover contracts that spanned more than half a century. Martha Raye as Carrie Sharples. Martha Raye was born on August 27, 1916, in Butte, Montana. At the age of 63, she appeared in the sitcom Alice as Carrie Sharples, Mel's mother, a strong, outspoken, and boisterous woman who brought an unforgettable burst of energy to Mel's diner. After decades of performing from Broadway stages to television, this role was like a final highlight, portraying Martha's fierce personality both on and off the screen. But behind her radiant exterior, Martha Raye's private life was filled with tragedy. 7 failed marriages, including one in which she had to stand trial over allegations of violence, made Martha's name easy prey for the tabloids. This talented woman also had to face undiagnosed bipolar disorder, which led to mental breakdowns and several hospitalizations, even though the public only ever saw her smiling on stage. The pressure to maintain her image pushed Martha to painkillers, to which she secretly became dependent for many years, further dragging down her physical and mental health. In her final years, Raye also turned many friends and colleagues away because of her conservative, harsh statements, readily attacking those with opposing political views. She once sued CBS over a dispute about benefits but lost, and then became entangled in a series of other lawsuits concerning property and support payments. That constant stress and her fiery personality overshadowed part of the brilliant legacy she had built over decades, leaving her vibrant roles unable to redeem her public image. On October 19, 1994, Martha Raye took her last breath due to pneumonia at the age of 78, leaving behind a net worth of only around $500,000 USD after debts and legal costs were deducted. Her funeral took place in a somber atmosphere, closing the chapter on the life of an artist who was both radiant and deeply wounded, one who had given everything for her art. Charles Lavin as Elliot Novak. Charles Lavin was born on March 12, 1949, in Chicago. At the age of 34, he joined Alice as Elliot Novak, the devoted and gentle husband of waitress Vera in the final season, bringing a fresh breeze to Mel's diner. Before that, Lavin was also known to the public for many charming and memorable supporting roles, showing a unique, witty, and sincere character. Yet behind that bright image, his life was filled with deep tragedies. Charles Lavin's private life gradually collapsed after he lost his partner to AIDS complications in the late 1980s, a devastating emotional shock from which he could not recover. From that point on, Lavin lived withdrawn, often haunted by paranoid thoughts and believing that someone was watching and controlling him, which severely fractured his relationships with friends and colleagues. His career also declined because of this, with him being confined to small supporting roles and losing opportunities to showcase his talent, which deeply hurt his self-esteem. Many believed that loneliness and insecurity became a dark shadow that clung to him until the very end of his life. In his later years, Lavin left the spotlight to live in seclusion in Oregon, searching for a bit of peace, but instead falling deeper into a dead end of loneliness and anxiety. While moving into a new house in 2019, his car became stuck on a remote forest road. Desperate to find a way out, he slipped and fell off a steep cliff and died, while his loyal dog starved to death inside the car. Lavin's body was only found after many days, already decomposing, sparking heartbreak over the fate of an artist who had once shone brightly but ended in such cruel loneliness. Charles Lavin died on June 28, 2019, at the age of 70, leaving behind a modest net worth of about $300,000 USD, due to many years of unstable income and the high costs of living alone. Patrick Cranshaw as Andy. Patrick Cranshaw was born on June 17, 1919, in Bartlesville, Oklahoma. At the age of 57, he appeared in Alice as Andy, an elderly, gentle, and somewhat naive regular customer, helping to create the warm and humorous atmosphere of Mel's Diner. Although this was only a supporting role, Cranshaw still left an impression with his charming style and simple acting. But behind the stage lights, his life was covered with many bitter shadows. Patrick Cranshaw went through a failed marriage in the late 1960s after his wife accused him of emotional abuse, leaving a wound in his heart that was not easily healed. Although he continued to work steadily in film and television, he always carried a sense of failure for never achieving true fame, being labeled a lifetime supporting actor. The simmering anger made him often irritable with younger assistants, and at times he even spread negative rumors about colleagues to protect his own position. Regret and jealousy gradually became a psychological burden, haunting Cranshaw for many years toward the end of his life. Journals found after his death showed that Cranshaw had felt abandoned by Hollywood, unfairly treated, and lonely in old age. Combined with illness tormenting him, he gradually withdrew, limited contact, and lived quietly like a shadow. Even though he appeared in over 100 films, he could not shake off the sadness of a career that always stood behind others, and that left him with unending bitterness. The glory of the stage, for Cranshaw, was just a beautiful dream that flashed by and then vanished. On December 28, 2005, Patrick Cranshaw passed away from pneumonia at his home in Texas at the age of 86, leaving behind a modest net worth of around $200,000 USD from small roles over decades. Eileen Heckart as Rose Hyatt. Eileen Heckart was born on March 29, 1919, in Columbus, Ohio. At the age of 57, she appeared in Alice as Rose Hyatt, Alice's mother, bringing to life the image of a strong woman, full of experience, yet also harsh and outspoken. This role reflected Heckart's own life, which was always a mixture of artistic passion and personal heartbreak. Although respected, she still made many colleagues wary because of her fierce temperament. Eileen's childhood carried many wounds after being abandoned by her biological father and growing up with an alcoholic mother, leaving painful memories etched in her soul, following her even after achieving fame. That harsh past created her brilliant acting skills, but also turned her into a tough person, famous for throwing scripts during rehearsals or publicly yelling at directors if she felt disrespected. Her marriage to Jack Yankee, although lasting for decades, was not without storms, with rumors of distance and even infidelity, making Heckart feel more lonely and insecure. Her greatest pain was her youngest son's years of addiction, making her carry the shame of being a failed mother, and she often blamed herself in rare interviews. Overwhelmed by pressure, Heckart turned to cigarettes as a form of relief, at times smoking up to 2 packs a day despite doctors' warnings. She buried herself in endless work, using art to fill her emotional void, but this only caused her health to deteriorate even faster. On December 31, 2001, Eileen Heckart passed away at her home in Connecticut from lung cancer at the age of 82. Her estimated net worth was around $2 million USD, mostly coming from her illustrious stage and film career. Doris Roberts as Mona Spivak. Doris Roberts was born on November 4, 1925 in St. Louis, Missouri. She was 56 years old when she took on the role of Mona Spivak, a sharp and sarcastic character, in the series Alice. Doris brought a sense of authenticity and toughness to Mona, reflecting her own strong and outspoken personality in real life. This role helped her solidify her position in television before she skyrocketed to fame with Everybody Loves Raymond. Yet behind the spotlight, Doris's life was filled with painful conflicts. After a bitter divorce and periods of distance from her son, she poured all her energy into her career, ignoring advice to spend more time with her family. A hidden struggle with alcohol addiction, kept secret for many years, made her unpredictable on set and led to heated arguments with co-stars over pay and benefits. A former assistant even accused her of emotional abuse, and though the matter was never taken to court, it still left a stain in the industry. Doris was never afraid to fight and speak her mind, but that also made many colleagues wary and reluctant to work with her. Her private life grew heavier as she watched the gap between herself and her only son widen, leading to final years steeped in loneliness, though outwardly she maintained an active, joyful image. That loneliness, combined with pulmonary hypertension, caused her health to decline rapidly. On April 17, 2016, Doris Roberts passed away in her sleep after a stroke at the age of 90. With a legacy estimated at around $14 million USD thanks to her iconic roles, especially Everybody Loves Raymond, Doris left behind the image of an artistic monument, though she also carried many wounds and unresolved conflicts. Kip Niven as Steve Marsh. Kip Niven was born on May 27, 1945 in Kansas City, Missouri. He was 36 years old when he took on the role of Steve Marsh in Alice in 1981. In the show, Steve was a character who brought new appeal to the storyline at Mel's Diner, also serving as Alice's boyfriend in the final seasons. This was a turning point that helped Niven become more familiar to television audiences after impressive roles in Magnum Force and Emergency. But behind the stage lights, Kip's life was full of pain and instability. After the tragic death of his first wife, Susan, in a car accident in 1981, he almost never spoke of that loss, carrying a silent wound for the rest of his life. When he married Linda Lavin in 1982, also his co-star in Alice, they quickly became entangled in intense arguments, with many accusations of controlling behavior and outbursts on set, leading to a bitter divorce in 1992. The accumulated pain along with career pressures pushed Niven into a spiral of drinking, making his temperament unpredictable, losing sympathy from colleagues, and missing out on many film opportunities. Even though he built a third home with Beth Rife and had a daughter, Beth's death in 2012 left Kip even more alone, as if he could never truly find peace again. On May 6, 2019, Kip Niven died of a heart attack in Kansas City, Missouri, at the age of 73. With a modest net worth of around $500,000 USD, due to a stalled career after Alice, he left behind the image of a talent that once shone brightly. Kenneth Mars as Billy Joe. Kenneth Mars was born on April 4, 1935, in Chicago, Illinois. He joined Alice at the age of 41 in 1977, taking on the role of Billy Joe, a supporting character who was humorous and charming, often contributing to the lively atmosphere at Mel's Diner. Yet, behind his on-screen charm, Kenneth Mars carried many insecurities. He was known in the film industry for sudden outbursts of anger, and even once locked himself in a prop closet claiming he needed to focus his emotions. A hidden gambling addiction quietly ate away at his finances, leaving Mars nearly bankrupt by the late 1980s. Additionally, alcohol abuse led to random fits of rage that caused him to be dropped from several voiceover projects, damaging the professional image he had worked hard to build. His marriage to Barbara Newborn, though it lasted until the end of his life, was also marked by cracks due to jealousy and reckless spending. A declining career along with worsening health gradually made Mars live more withdrawn. Major roles became increasingly rare, and he only made scattered appearances in a few animation projects before retiring due to severe illness. On February 12, 2011, Kenneth Mars passed away from pancreatic cancer at the age of 75, leaving behind an estimated net worth of around $1 million USD, mostly from his voiceover work and television roles. The stories of the Alice cast are not just memories of a golden age of American television, but also reminders that behind the stage lights lie lives full of both tragedy and glory. Which character in Alice is your favorite, and which story moved you the most? Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like and follow to discover more surprising behind-the-scenes secrets.